Hi everybody, we're back. This is I'm Broward County Commissioner Stacy Ritter here with Essie Denoms at the African American Research Library. Essie is the Assistant Regional Library Manager. I got it right that time?
Yes.
Yay! We practiced it off camera a lot. And right now we are in front of the photographic exhibit that timelines the 40s both regionally here in Fort Lauderdale and nationally. Let's talk about. Oh, and by the way, the African American Research Library is at 2650 Sistrunk Boulevard in Fort Lauderdale, and you can take a look at what there is here at the Broward.org website. If you click on the library section, you can learn more about this amazing facility. But let's talk a little bit about the timeline. Here, let's go to this one. This is an interesting one. This is a photograph. Tell everybody what this is a photo of.
This is a photo of a patent that was done by Thomas S. Cobb. A lot of people in the community, he owned a Bed Rest. It was a mattress company that blacks and white both bought their mattresses from. But a lot of people in the community did not know that he actually owned the patent. So we pulled a copy of the patents and we have it here for people to see that every time you sleep on a mattress in Broward, when you think about it, it's a black man that had something to do with it. Of course, he sold the patent, but it still was something that was important to the community.
And at the same time, here we've got, talk about the basketball. You were talking off camera earlier about what the kids think of desegregated basketball.
Right, a lot of people think that basketball was integrated by Jordan, but I tell them no, it was the Harlem Globetrotters, and that's back in the 1940s, late 1940s. They played the Lakers, and the Lakers was an all-white team, and they played the Globetrotters, and the Globetrotters beat them, and they said, that's got to be a fluke. So then they had them come back again the next year and play them, and they played them, and they won them again, and they said, okay, wait a minute, so we're going to have to start letting a few of you in, because it was all about winning. It wasn't really about color at that time. So at that time, the basketball got integrated, and they started letting blacks into the
And that
the
was
NBA.
1940, around 1948.
Mm-hmm.
And this picture up here.
That is Cannonball Adderley. He is, I forget the man. He was a teacher at Dillard, but he's also a saxophonist, and he was a musician.
Oh.
And he's known worldwide. He's very famous.
Where'd you get a photo like, for example, this one or the other photos from here?
We've got a lot of photos from the Fort Lauderdale Historical Center as well as from the Broward County Historical Commission at the time.
Okay, we're continuing our trek through the African American Research Library and the Fabulous Forties exhibit. I'm here with Essie Denoms, who's the Assistant Regional Library Manager, right?
Yes.
Yeah, finally. And we are standing in front of a
1941 Lincoln Continental convertible.
This car is unbelievable.
It's an absolutely beautiful car. Every man that walks through, and some women go, it's a beautiful car.
It's a beautiful car. Where did you find this car?
We needed a car for the exhibit because we're doing a street scene. We did a street scene, so we borrowed it from the Elliott Museum. They are getting a new facility, and they had this car. It's what they use in their parades, and so they lent it to us for the year for free.
It's just a gorgeous car. Of course, it probably gets, no miles per gallon? A few miles per gallon, but the original price of this car when it was new was $2,778, which is amazing. Of course, back then that was an expensive car.
And now, appraised about 3 years ago, they said it was valued about $70,000.
I'm surprised it's not more than this. Is an amazing looking car. And you said it's used in parade, so it works.
Yes, it works. It's
runs off regular gas,
Yes.
and it's incredible. The people who love cars should come down for nothing else to see this car. It's just absolutely stunning. Okay, we're going to move on. We are standing in front of yet another exhibit at the African American Research Library, which is at 2650 Sistrunk Boulevard for the Fabulous Forties exhibit. Let's talk about what we've got behind us.
What we've got behind us is a tribute to O. Dillard. It was a school that if you wanted to in Broward County, if you were African American or you were black and you wanted to go to 12th grade, you had to come to the school, whether you lived in Pompano, whether you lived in Hallandale. And so we did a tribute to the colored school that turned into O. Dillard. 2 pictures on the wall of the 2 principals that were here during that time frame. And I dedicated this room to Miss Pinkett because she was one of those teachers that everybody hated and loved at the same time. She was a math teacher, but
she looks tough.
Everybody appreciated her at the end during the time that they were teaching her. They wasn't so fortunate, but she really was a good teacher.
And talk about the furnishing.
The 2 pieces came from O. Dillard Museum. We actually borrowed them for this exhibit, and they were used back in that time frame.
And it was called the Colored School.
It was called the Colored School at first, and then it changed to Dillard, and we think it was 1930s. First we put it up in 1940s, but somebody in the community told us it was 1930s.
That it became the Dillard School.
That it became the Dillard School.
And there's a photograph on the wall of the original.
That's the school what it is right now, the Old Dillard Museum. That's where it is located now.
I think we should also say a particular thank you to my colleague, Broward County Commissioner Barbara Sharif, because there are a lot of little figurines and exhibits in this in the library, the overall exhibit that came from her personal collection. And how did you know that Barbara had a collection?
Well, when we talked to her, we were telling her about the exhibit. She told us about her being here in Fort Lauderdale and the things that she had in her collection. She asked us to come over to see what we could use for it. She was very gracious.
And based on what you've got here, she must have some really amazing, more things in her home.
She has a very beautiful collection.
Yeah, because she's been here, her family's been here for 5 generations, which is
Yes.
hard to find here in South Florida, a family that's been here for that long. So again, a special thanks to my colleague, Broward County Commissioner Barbara Sharif, for lending the African American Research Library some of her possessions. So let's move on. Welcome back. I'm Broward County Commissioner Stacy Ritter with the African American Research Library. We've been taking some mini tours, I guess you could say, of this Fabulous Forties exhibit, which is here until November of 12. Let's talk about what we're standing in front of right now.
We're standing in front of the Victory Theater. It was the second theater built on Fifth Avenue. And I always, when I give them the tours and I talk to the students, I says, why would they build another theater? I says, it's very hot in South Florida. And they go, because of the air conditioning. It was an air-conditioned theater. It has a sister in Pompano. It was very popular with the people in the community. They could take 25 cents and come and spend the whole day and watch movies and so forth. So what we have done is we've recreated the theater, and we show 40s films, and we show trailers from the 40s, so people can come by and enjoy.
It's muted right now, but it's not always muted. And as you see, now is it on a continuous loop? Do you have special showings? Do you advertise when you're actually showing a full-length movie as opposed to the loop of trailers?
We had special showings for the month of February.
For Black History
For
Month?
Black History Month. Mm-hmm. And then now it comes, if people come and they ask us, we'll show a full-length movie. Otherwise, it just keeps continuously going with the trailers and so forth.
Again, off camera, we were talking about some of the movies and the dancing. When the kids come here, when the younger generation, boy, I sound like my mother. When the younger generation comes here and watches these movies, what is their reaction to?
Well, they're very surprised, and they're very pleased when they see them doing the jive and so forth, and they see the energy from the dancers, and they thought they knew how to dance. When they look at them, they're like, wow.
And they thought they invented it.
Yes.
When it's really just a recycling of, and an updating of dances that have been going on for generation after generation.
Yes.
It's a great learning tool for them, too. I mean, so few, my kids, for example, they're 23 and my youngest will be 21 next month. They don't watch old movies.
No, and they don't know a lot about the history and the different things that were going on. So this is very important for us. We've been having school kids come through. We've had teachers. We've had churches come through. So they're learning about the history from the past, and that's really what's important about this exhibit, is that we're trying to preserve the history of blacks in the community.
And are you reaching out to the public schools in all throughout Broward County, or?
Yes, we've had some third graders come through. We've had some high schoolers come through. We've had some private schools come through. So we're going to be doing more work with them in the fall coming up. I mean, with the new school year starting, we'll have more students coming through.
And it's a free exhibit.
It's a free exhibit.
And we are standing in front of the home scene right now. Let's talk a little bit about what the viewers are seeing when they right now. This
is the home scene. It's a scene that's supposedly without electricity for the most part. It has a Victrola, and it actually works. Johnny Alexander gave us a lot of the materials from here.
Well, how does it work without electricity?
They crank it up. They have to turn it up. When I ask the students, I says, how many of you have iPods? And all these kinds of things. And they all raise their hand. And I says, well, back then you had to actually crank it in order to hear the music.
And their mouths drop open. And this is a stove?
It's a heater. We're told that it's a heater. He has 2 quilts from the area. One was sewn, and one hand sewn, and one was done by a machine. And the rocking chair also comes in that time period.
Is it a wood burning heater?
Yes,
then?
It's a wood burning.
So this is the home that would have had no electricity.
No, it has the oil lanterns also.
Was that usual back in the 40s?
It wasn't a lot of places. On Fifth Avenue, some of them had electricity, but some outside of Fifth Avenue, they did not have electricity, so they were still using outhouses and using the oil lanterns and so forth.
That's amazing. And where did you find this stuff?
Most of the stuff came from Johnny Alexander. We had a time trying to find a sofa for that time period, so we had to look all over the place. And the Fate Farm generously donated it to us. It's basically almost in like the 1950s, but it was the closest thing we could find to 1940s. The sewing machine we think might be in 1950s, but they did sew things in the area, and we couldn't find one from the 1940s, so we're using that.
And that is, as you said, a hand-sewn quilt.
Yes.
This one on the rocking chair is a hand-sewn quilt.
It's handmade. And then one sewn
handmade
with the sewing machine. Yes.
It's hard to believe that in the 1940s there were places without electricity, or indoor plumbing.
There were places without electricity. There were people that didn't have telephones. Some didn't have televisions. So It was a rule. It was in some places it was very rural, in some places they had a lot. So it just depends on where you lived.
And we're making our final stop at the Fabulous Forties exhibit, which I must remind everyone is open and free to the public. Well, as we say goodbye, tell us what this is. This is really cool.
This is what you do at the end of the exhibit. You can come here. It's sponsored by Bright Star Credit Union. It's a virtual capture software that you can make a video and talk about what you've seen here at the exhibit and send it to your friends and your families through email. You put it on your Facebook and so forth. So you just type your name in, send it, put your email in, stand here, record, and says, I was at the Fabulous Forties exhibit at the African American Research Library and Culture Center. I had a wonderful time. I want all my friends to come and see, and thank you. And then you can go and pick it up from your email or your Facebook account.
Which is really neat, and it's a great way to to document what people have seen here while it's still fresh in their mind. And again, this is an amazing exhibit. You can find out more information on the Broward.org website, and of course the Convention and Visitors Bureau also links it on their website. But this fabulous, see, we all get tongue-tied. This Fabulous Forties exhibit is amazing. It will blow you away, and I can't encourage the people of Broward County enough to come here and take a look at what you've put together. You've done an amazing job here putting together the different exhibits, the photographs, some of the books, and it's 70 years ago. Many of us were not here or alive at the time, but it's still amazing to see how things have changed. When you take a look at some of the books that you've got on exhibit, some of what we consider now offensive things that are said weren't considered offensive back then, and how times have changed, and hopefully how we've progressed.
Yes.
I hope we've progressed. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate your time. You did fantastic. Nothing to be nervous about. See, we don't bite here in Broward County. At least I don't. And again, thanks so much. We're goodbye for now from the African American Research Library and Cultural Institute, and we'll be back with another Coffee with Stacy.